everybody. Welcome to a Monday morning edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. I know I did. I'm still tired from the weekend. But anyway, this is your show where we bring in comedy, and comedy meets sports. Yes, right. We have a bunch of comedians who talk about sports. We have great conversations with comedians who've been in the game for a long time. And let's bring up the first comedian who's joined the show, been in the game for a long time, my man, Town. Town, how you been? How you been?
Oh, fantastic, brother. How are you, man? I see you had a good weekend, huh?
Yeah, I'm still tired and stayed up too late watching that trash called the BET Awards, but that's a whole nother conversation, dude.
You still do that?
Yeah, see, I have to, because you know I'm in the press, so I have to do that. And I was just so upset because all that booty shaking with Maxine Waters in the front seat, man, you get me on a whole nother topic. We're trying to talk sports. Anyway, let me bring up my man Fig. Ask Fig how his weekend was. Fig, how was your weekend, bro?
Man, lovely, man. I was in the Poconos, and I was overhearing your conversation. I didn't realize BET still had an awards, and people watch it.
Yeah,
I can't believe Frank covering that.
Yeah, I have to. What'd you say, Fig? You was picking your nose? I
was in the Poconos.
Oh, gotcha. All right, let me bring in my man.
I was picking my nose in the Poconos.
All right, let me bring in my man. We call our sports connoisseur, Mr. Amir Sealy. Amir, how you doing today, brother? How's everything?
I'm good, man. It was a great weekend. It's good to see all you gentlemen.
Amir, they making fun of me for watching the BET Awards. With all that booty shaking, it was just ridiculous, bro. I don't understand how that stuff is even on TV anymore. You know what, man? I'm gonna say this. We can jump into the show. I remember the days I used to be able to sit around with my kids and watch the show. Now it's a stripper's show. You know what I mean? It's literally a stripper's show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All I can do is shake my head. That's all I can do. But anyway, let's jump into the show, man. A lot happened this weekend, Town. I'm gonna jump up first to say I normally do a COVID report. But this COVID report is different because I had nothing really to report. No athletes are concerned. Nothing came out over the weekend because all the athletes now, after the trials and stuff over this weekend, all the athletes about this week are starting to descend to Japan and Tokyo. No concerns have popped up. If anything, matter of fact, it seemed to be going smoothly. You almost wouldn't even know we're in a pandemic because literally within 4 days, it quieted down. I don't know if money people were like, hey, you don't say nothing, we'll pay you. I don't know if that's happened, but right now, nothing. So what's your thoughts on that, Town? Like nothing.
Well, my thing is this, Frank, even though you don't have a COVID report, you should have did a Tour de France report.
I got that coming up.
Yeah, that's the report we should have did. But I mean, that's no news is good news. Because if something big happened, your report would be nice and fulfilled, and we would have concerns. So I guess if the numbers are down and there's no news, maybe, because I'm an optimist, maybe things are getting better.
Okay, we'll see. That's his take. Fig, what's your take?
Before they came out with vacuum cleaners, the way people used to clean things up was with a broom. And then a lot of times, if they didn't have a dustpan and they had a broom, they used to lift up the carpet and sweep the dirt under the carpet, and I think that's what's happening.
Yo, I think that could be his right take. What's your take on this, Amir?
You know what? I'm a on the side of things, like you said, getting better, and this situation is improving in ways that hopefully will be better overall for everybody. Because as we've been stating, the last thing we want to see is anybody get hurt, injured, or lose their life. In hopes of getting an Olympic gold or any of the Olympic medals. The big thing is safety and people coming back home to their families. That's all we're concerned about.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. All right, let's jump in because Talent alluded a little bit to the Tour de France, man. I had to talk about the Tour de France. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the video of this, man. It literally, at first, when I first saw the video, I thought I had turned to one of those channels when you're watching a comedy dust up or something like that. I literally thought I was watching that. And I was like, wait a minute, did I turn to a movie or something? And I realized I'm watching a sport. Man, so if you didn't see it, in the Tour de France on Saturday, a spectator caused a major crash. And as of this morning, the police in France are still looking for the spectator who caused the crash. And no, people are not sure if he was trying to get a selfie or whatever, but he ruined the whole race. You know what I mean? And I don't know about you, Talon, but it's almost despicable at the way he did it. And then he got away scot-free. What's your thoughts on that?
First of all, I think it's a woman that's involved. But I think it's hilarious. I hate to laugh at it, but it's just hilarious. Because I know every year it goes on, somebody's on the sideline saying to themselves, in jest, they're like, yo, I could jump out there and mess this whole shit up.
Yeah.
But they never do it. But they never do it. They just say, if I just jump out there, everybody start crashing. But they never do it. And then finally, for ulterior reasons, they had a sign. They was trying to get, attention from the media to be seen, whatever their positioning was that they were protesting or making a point of. But I thought it was very funny. It's like seeing somebody bust their ass in the street. You laugh first, and then you go, yo, you all right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it exactly. Fig, what's your thought?
Yo, man, you know what's scary? These dudes riding their bikes, man, they going upwards of 30 miles an hour, man. I mean, these guys on these bikes, they are literally flying. And you jump out there on the road when they're expecting nobody to be there and they get caught off guard. It's like a 50-car pileup, man. It's just like absolutely ridiculous. And I'm thinking to myself, these guys would have a little more skill getting out of the way of pedestrians had they tried to ride their bike in the hard, tough cities of New York. Because in New York, if you ever ride a bike or anybody was a messenger and stuff like that, pedestrians jump out in the street all the time. People opening their car doors, cabs, buses. I mean, there's so much stuff to avoid. It's like a maze. I think the Tour de France, before they do this, maybe they ought to train in the mean streets of New York City before they go out there to France and ride. You know what I mean? So they can avoid those kind of pedestrians, man. But it was horrible, man. Absolutely horrible.
Amir, what's your thoughts?
It's so crazy. I actually haven't seen the footage yet, so I can't wait to go see the footage. But it sounds, to your point, like somebody who, is trying to get their 15 minutes of fame. And we have to stop with that. Look, if you're at an event and it's a great event and you want to show love or show support and you're in the crowd, stay in the crowd. Take a picture in the crowd. Then just tag in where you are. Because getting involved in a way that puts the people who are competing in any way, shape, or form in harm way is like crazy to me. So it just sounds like this was one of those people who, for all intents purposes, trying to make a statement, one, and then two, trying to have that moment. This is going to go down in history. Yeah, it's going to go down in history, all right, but probably not the way you anticipated.
It sure won't, because it'll be shackles and all that other stuff. You're going to be in the wrong end of history on that one, and I don't think that's going to be a good look for you. Talent, I want to jump out with you with the next story, man, because over the weekend, actually last night, a Seattle Mariner player literally got caught during the game and got embarrassed on national TV because he got thrown out of the game because he got caught with a substance on his hand. And he ended up saying, you know what, it's just Rosen. It's just Rosen. Now, mind you, the Major League Baseball has put out several things and saying there's no substances allowed. No Rosen, no sticky finger, nothing. He's like, but I'm my Donald Trump hands. No, it was just Rosen. It's just Rosen. So I'm gonna ask you, Cal, like, what you think? What is he right? Is he wrong? Stupidity level? Or what's your thought?
Hey, come on, man! It's just cocaine. It's just a little cocaine. Come on, I'm the only one. I'm the only one doing cocaine. Let me tell you something. No substance means no substance. I have no sympathy, for the fools that try to make up but it's just the. If people tell you we're banning all substances, you can't come in with it's just KY. It's just Vaseline. It's just cocoa butter. I'm black. It don't matter. No damn substances, man. He can't get an ounce of sympathy or empathizing with this situation, Frank. They made it clear. The world knows. We've been talking about it for a month straight. Everyone knows that this is the new big deal in Major League Baseball. And you know what makes it sad is over the weekend I was watching some college baseball, and I'm looking at these college players. Throw 95, 96 miles an hour. And I'm saying, these college kids are coming out with this heat. Why are we losing heat? Because we're banning substances at the pro level. The organicness doesn't add up to me. So I'm like, something's really wrong with the game. So if it's that imperative that you got to sneak a substance on the ball after they've been banned, We got a problem in baseball. I said it last week, bro. Baseball ain't what we thought it was.
Yeah, I agree with that part. Fig, what's your thoughts?
It's funny, man, because the guy said, yo, he said when a baseball player get out there, it's hot. And he put a little something on his arm to keep the sweat from running down into his hands. I was like, in basketball, they got this thing called an armband. It's a sweatband. You can put that on instead of this substance. You know what I mean? And the umpire said, well, what kind of substance is it? He said, it's just a little bit of hooey. Hooey? What in the world is hooey? You can't have hooey in baseball. We can't have no hooey. No hot tooey, no hooey. We can't have no jizz. You can't wear nothing. So he got caught what they call red-handed. I think that's racial. I think red-handed is racial, man, because I think it's something to do with the Native Americans. But they caught him. You know what I mean? He tried to get out with a white lie.
Okay. All right, Amir, what's your thought?
Oh man, I'm always amazed at when people get caught doing things that, like you said, are absolutely banned. In this particular case, it's banned. They've been talking about it for, like you said, now more than a month or so. And you have to tell me you live under a rock if you play the sport and you didn't get the memo. What do you? There's not a whole lot for you to do other than keep up on current events when you play baseball. Like, what else is there for you to do? So how did you fail that test, sir? And then the position that you play of all the positions is the key one that you can't do that in. And you still mess that up? Look, all I can tell you is it's funny and sad at the same time, because while we don't want to see anybody cheating or caught cheating, it's just adding something to baseball because we don't know what else they can do in order to keep up the energy of making us love baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's not forget about this one thing too before I go on to the next story. When you're the pitcher, you are the pivotal piece on the playing field. You know what I mean? Like if the pitcher gets taken out, the team can literally lose that game because he's the guy who has the best chance to win because everything runs through the pitcher. You know what I mean? So he basically sacrificed the team for L. And you know how hard it is to get W's in baseball. They're not easy to come by. Let me start out with you with the next thing, man. Talent of at the U.S. track and field trials over the weekend. Gwen Berry, she turned her way. They were playing the national anthem, and she got up. Everybody's standing up there for the national anthem. She turned around during the national anthem, and let me just say this too. She literally finished third. She got a bronze medal, but she's catching a lot of flack because she turned around during the national anthem. She was saying that she was upset that they were playing the national anthem at the time when they did. She didn't like the way they did that, and she just obviously she doesn't like what's going on in the United States. But she's another athlete who's standing up for her rights. But she's catching a lot of flack from that. She lost some sponsorship in a matter of 12 hours. All of that, it happened. So we're still in this era of everything happening. So what do you think about this, Talent? What's your thoughts on this?
I don't blame her. You got to timing is everything, man. And then play her record. Maybe she don't like that song. Find out what she like. I remember going and being in concert at the Fox Theater Detroit, and I told the group to play a certain record. He played Montel Jordan. This is how we do. And I turned around too.
What you do?
They said, where we going? I said, that's not the record I said to play. Then they threw video and I came back out and I rocked the house. But the point is, I think I agree with timing of that. The timing probably for her was off. You play the national anthem at certain times, and she probably felt like slighted or so. We know the climate that we're in, Frank, and we have to be conscious and respectful of everybody. It's a time where, and I'm not mad at the time in a certain aspect, that it's forcing us to take other people's feelings, respects, and beliefs into consideration. You know what I mean? And that's just the time we're in. So I'm not mad.
All right, Fig, what's your thoughts?
It's never a wrong time to do the right thing. The whole thing about protests is that it's supposed to make people uncomfortable. And there's never a good time where people say, okay, listen, protest here. This is a good place to protest because ain't nobody going to see you. And ain't nobody going to be affected by the fact that you protest right here. So that's the whole point about protest, is to have a big audience and to make people uncomfortable about the fact that you're protesting and draw attention to the fact that you're protesting and why. Why are you protesting the national anthem? Because it's supposed to represent every citizen in the United States of America, even if you have brown skin. And we know for a fact that that has not happened. So if that's the place that you want to protest, it made people very uncomfortable.
Amir, your thoughts?
I love the fact that we still are in a moment where people are still taking stances. We have to. If you take your foot off the gas now, if you stop saying to yourself that when you see injustices, regardless of where they may be or what they may be, and you don't speak up for or about it or against it, then we lose the momentum of what we've been going through over the last year and a half. And to me, that speaks volumes to who she is, not only as obviously as an athlete, but as a human being. And we gotta applaud that. We have to continue to find that in one another and support it. So kudos to her. I think that's an absolutely amazing thing that she did.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Hey, Frank, you know what? You know what I think we should do? The people, whatever companies that was endorsing her, that rescinded her endorsement, we need to know who they are so we can rescind our support of those companies that rescinded because she protested. You know what I mean? We need to name who they are so we can keep our dollars from that particular company because they know they don't have our good interests at heart.
What if it's Kotex, Fig? What are you gonna do?
Say what?
Kotex.
Never have, never will.
Let me see you pull your support from that, you son of a bitch.
Oh, y'all are crazy. All right, let me talk about the next series, man. Over the weekend, Jalen Rose was talking. He put his foot in his mouth a couple of times. He always puts his foot in his mouth, if you ask me. But he put his foot in his mouth to some on this next point. And I'm gonna ask you, Talent, whether you agree or disagree. He said that Kevin Love was selected as the token player for Team USA going into obviously the Olympics and everything else. He said, you know what, Kevin Love is the token white player. He's selected on the team and everything else. He's not good enough to handle to be on the team, and they did not have to select a token player. They could have selected somebody else. Now, I think I'm gonna say for the record, I think Kevin Love is good enough to be on the U.S. Olympic team. I don't necessarily agree with him, but I do think there are players who are better than him who could have made it obviously on the U.S. Olympics team. But you could argue both ways. You could argue both sides. So I'm gonna ask you, Talent, do you think Jalen Rose was right in his assessment saying that the U.S. picked him because he had to be the token U.S., kind of like how they did with Christian Laettner and John Stockton for the Dream Team way back then? What you think?
Yeah, but I don't look at them as token players. What I will say is this. I will say, as far as other players that could have been picked, I will say maybe it's past his prime time to be on Olympic team. Like he's had those years already. But token, the NBA is not the kind of league where you can use the word token when it comes to a white player or a black player. They're at the level in basketball where any token player chosen in the NBA would be international, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like a Jeremy Lin could be like an international token player, somebody from a foreign place because they're trying to broaden, the horizons of the NBA. But yeah, Kevin Love, you can't consider him a token per se. But do I agree with the point that there's others? Yeah, it's a bunch of others. Like if the guy had to be white, we could probably sit here and come up with 10 guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Well, let me ask you, Fig. Do you think that USA selected a token white player to have a token white player on the team?
I don't know if that was the reasoning, but Kevin Love don't ring no bells when it comes to when you're talking about the type of caliber of players that you're putting on this on this Olympic team. I mean, we haven't heard anything about Kevin Love since LeBron James and Kyrie left Cleveland. Like I don't know. He was injured. He was out. He talked about having mental health issues or whatever and stuff like that. But other than that, Kevin Love hadn't been making any noise. We don't know about anything that he's actually done. And if you look at the caliber of players, the other players that are on the team, Kevin Love don't seem to match up. It's just like one of these things don't belong. Now, I'm not talking about his skin. And maybe they are looking at him as a token. Now, Christian Laettner definitely was a token. On the first Dream Team, he was the only college player on that team, and he was nowhere near the caliber of those other players. John Stockton, I wouldn't call John Stockton a token because he was a perennial all-star, and had it not been for Michael Jordan, I believe that John Stockton and Karl Malone would have had multiple championships. So I wouldn't call Stockton a token. Certainly Christian Laettner, and possibly Kevin Love, because I don't know why, he was added to that team, based on how he's been playing.
All right, well, Fig, I'm gonna just stop before I throw it to Amir and say I think John Stockton was a token because they should have got Isaiah Thomas, but that's a whole nother conversation. We're not gonna go there.
Blasphemy!
Amir, it's your thought. It's your thoughts. What do you think, Amir? What's your thought?
The Kevin Love situation is, an interesting one. First off, I think, God bless Derrick Rose. I think sometimes, and this goes for Derrick Rose or any other, person around the world, sometimes you have to keep those thoughts to yourself. It is what it is.
Jalen Rose.
No disrespect. Yeah. But no disrespect. Sometimes you just got to keep it. You know how you hear voices or you say things in your head and you be like, yeah, that sounds great. But sometimes you got to say to yourself, that's not going to sound great when it actually comes out. So let me just leave that alone. But with that having been said, in this particular case, the interesting thing is, because I was sitting here thinking about it, and I was trying to think of what other players, who are Caucasian, might you select? Because in all fairness, the league is predominantly, African-American. We have, obviously a bunch of other ethnicities. But I don't know if we have any other prominent Caucasian players that I can think of off the top of my head. That's not, any disrespect to anybody, but off the top of my head that I can honestly think of and go, oh, yeah, whatever. Everybody else that we're going to speak of is technically, from a foreign country who are prolific players now in the league. So it's that's kind of an interesting point, brought up in the midst of everything that's going on. So I was like, I got to think about that. You know what I mean?
Amir, I don't know about that one either, Amir, because Luka could have been on that team. You know what I mean? And they could have slid some people.
No, but my point to whether you do Luka or Joker or any of them, like I said, they're also from other countries. I'm just talking about plain old Caucasian. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In this, where he's concerned, Kevin Love isn't from a foreign country that I know of. He's, from good old fashioned. You know what I mean?
Well, he's in Cleveland.
I like how Amir keep it real. Amir said, yeah, Derrick Rose, Jalen Rose. I don't give a damn. All them Roses be messing up.
The funny thing is that when you look at it, everything else, I don't even think they did it for a token thing. I think they just did it because they were like, you know what, we need another big, who can play. Honestly, I don't think they did it as a white black thing.
More than likely.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think they were looking for another big power forward who could pass the ball. That's what I was thinking they were thinking of. And Kevin Love is a great passer.
Pete Rose, nobody cares.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody cares. You're right. Nobody cares. All right, let me talk about the next thing. I think people are going to care about. I want to talk about the series in a second, but news came out this morning. I saw it this morning that Kawhi Leonard is extremely unhappy with the medical staff, and he's comparing the medical staff to the staff of the Clippers to the staff of the San Antonio Spurs. And you know what that's going to lead to, talent. You know what I mean? If Kawhi Leonard, and he can opt out and be gone at the end as soon as the season is over. I'm going to say this right now. I think the Clippers are headed for problems. Either that or he just could see the writing on the wall. The Clippers could do just as good without him as they're doing with him. You know what I mean? So what's your thoughts on this, Talent? Talent, I think you're muted.
How about that? I think this, bro. I think that I think he can play, but I think the medical staff is stopping him from playing for technical reasons. And I think nothing bothers a competitor more than being held out of a high-stakes series or game because of a technicality. A real competitor would rather get out there and see what he can do to help their team to get his, because he realizes they can taste the championship. They can taste, they're right there. And your team's medical staff is deeming you not playable.
Right.
No matter if you're like, no, I think I could. No, No, we don't. We're looking at the future. We're looking at the long haul of this situation, what this injury can end up being with one wrong tweak. Basically, probably using like a Kevin Durant as an example, because remember, Kevin came back quick, and then that next quick tweak ended up being a year and a half.
Yeah, absolutely, positive, right. Fig, I'm gonna throw the same question to you. Say we're gonna talk about the series in a second, but do you think Kawhi Leonard is unhappy with the medical staff for other reasons that we're looking at, or is what Talon said absolutely right? Like, sit down, relax, slow down, don't worry about it. We got you. It's gonna, you know what I mean? He's a player though, so you know how that goes. What you think, Fig?
Hey man, Kawhi Leonard is probably the most unusual basketball player that we've ever seen in the NBA, or should I say star, superstar, whatever. We never really heard. I don't remember hearing Kawhi Leonard actually speak until he did that interview with the Toronto Raptors, and then he said, I don't even know where you are. I was just like, what though? I was like, no wonder you don't want to say nothing. This dude is an android. He's a robot. And he said, and then he looked at the camera and said, I'll be back. I was like, oh my God. It's the Terminator. I don't know, man. You never know with Kawhi, man, because just of the type of personality that he has. But here's the thing. Every time that we've heard a rumor that Kawhi was not happy with an organization, he left.
Yeah, that's that every single time. Amir, what's your thoughts?
This could be the setup. You know what I mean? Fortunately or unfortunately, they could be setting us up for what's to come after, if the Clippers don't pull through this series and obviously make it to the championship. So in all fairness to them, the Clippers organization, like most organizations, have to look to Talon's point about the long game. And if Kawhi is a piece that they may be looking to move, obviously Paul George has, been showing his worth and, showing he's more than capable. Maybe they're going in a different direction and they're trying to keep Kawhi as safe as they can. They got to bubble wrap that dude to make sure that nothing else happens. So if and when they do make a move, maybe, they can get some pieces that they think may be, necessary in order to keep their organization going. Who knows? The big thing is, Kawhi is definitely, bona fide superstar and one of the players that we'd love to see, playing this time of the year. But something's got to be up because nobody just sits out at this time of the year if they don't have to.
You know what? There's a bigger point that I'm going to throw to Talent first, too. There's a bigger point that I heard mentioned over the weekend, and I was like, Kawhi Leonard is not even sitting down with his team. You know what I mean? So to me, when I heard this report come out, I'm like, you know what? There might be some validity to this report because he might be really angry at the medical staff and Talent. He's not even sitting down with his team during the game because most players I know during the playoffs when they're injured, they sit on the sidelines with the rest of their team during the playoff run. You know what I mean? And it's telling a lot to me. He's sitting way up there with his family. I don't get it. What you think, Talent?
It's COVID.
And?
I'm not sitting down there with them Negroes either.
But
this, first of all, is the playoffs, is the conference finals, and it's COVID season, and y'all letting fans in. I'm sitting my black ass up there with my family too.
Okay, all right, but you travel with the team.
I'm not reading into that. That makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? That part makes sense. But again, I as a Spurs fan, a diehard Spurs fan who sat through this man's entire career, he's a competitor, bro, and you think he's pissed off up in that box with his family. You imagine intensifying the pissed offness. Write that down. Pissed offness. If you're on the hardwood floor that close to the game, you're trying to piss the man off to the highest level of pissivity. Write that too.
Okay, hold on. Was that two S's? Was that two S's? Pissed offness?
Pissed offness, two S's. And then pissivity. The highest pissivity.
Okay.
All right.
I'll write that one down. Finn, you agree with that? Do you agree with what he thinks? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, for the record, I don't agree with his statement.
You know what? It never even crossed my mind, that he was sitting up there due to COVID. But that is a valid reason. I'm telling you. I mean, it's COVID. It's still COVID season. They got other people. They got other players that are active players, and they're sitting on the sideline with masks on. And they got other people that are wearing masks, the coaches and everybody with a mask on. So what, he going to take his whole family and he's gonna bring them down there in the mix with everybody, and they all gonna sit there with wearing masks. No, he's up there in the owner's box with his family, and he's safe in an enclosed environment where they don't have to wear masks. And pistivity is like nativity with a piss on the beginning of it.
I'm writing that down to it. I'm gonna just tell you both. I don't agree with either one of y'all because at the end of the day, the air around there is all circulating. It ain't like they outside. The air is all circulating, so that bug could fly right up there and go right down there too. So I don't agree with that. But let me see if Amir agrees with y'all, and or if he agrees that there might be something to look into with him on the sideline upstairs. What you think?
I thought it was interesting. I did catch a clip and saw that he was in. I was like, wait a minute. And, the talent's point, yes, he's a bona fide, cat who, wants to, But your presence down on the court is way more official than being up in the box because that shows that you're down there with your teammates and you're ready to go to war. Now, as a fan of the game, to some degree, I understand all that, sitting up in the box trying to stay safe. But as a player, T and Fig, if y'all sit up in the box and I'm down there going to war and y'all ain't down there with me and Frank, I'm going to kill each and every one of you. I'm just letting you know that. So that's what I'm about.
Yeah, that's me too. I mean, maybe they made us Boston dudes and it's different. I don't know, but I'm with you. I mean, I'm like, we going to war together, bro. Like, what you doing up there?
Listen, man. If I got to face, and I got the choice of getting killed by Amir, my co-player, or killed by COVID, I'm going to take my chances with Amir because ain't no ventilator involved.
Yeah, all I know is if I see your ass up in the bleachers sipping wine and eating popcorn, there's a problem.
Here's the thing, man. I would say this. I believe that if Kawhi had an opportunity to come back and play sometime this year, I think he'd be on the bench. But the fact that he's possibly out for the entirety of this season, I think that's probably why he's not sitting down there with the team. And if what you say is correct, Frank, this might be his last season in the Clippers uniform. So, it sort of lends to all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it is because he did the same thing in San Antonio. But let me talk about the series overall. Let me start with you, Talent. We all talked about the Clippers. We talked about how the Clippers was, listen, they were in every game. They made every game and fight and everything else. And honestly, a couple of calls go a couple of different ways. The series could be looking a little different also, you know what I mean? But the Suns and Clippers are fighting it out, duking it out. What's your thought right now, Talent, on because the Clippers are one game away from elimination, bro. They're one game away. And either everything is going to go to hell with the Clippers if they get eliminated, or this could be the stepping stone for them to say, okay, now we can build off of this because we already made Clippers history. We just got to make one more leap up. What's your thoughts on how they should look at it, and what do you think they're going to do? What do you think, Talent?
Well, first of all, my comrades, I need y'all to know I'm a team player. You know what I mean? If I'm out there sipping my wine and y'all down there playing, I will go to the extent of having, those police walkie-talkies right here. I'll make sure they get us those so I can be like, keep balling out, player. So anyway, what I feel is like they're on the cuspice of one or the other. Either, again, this ends the road and buck stops here, or they are proving people wrong in their greatness. They're going to go to a next level of greatness because they've been on the brink before. So again, not counting them out at all. Anything could happen. To Fig's last point, I don't believe. I think the frustration is that I don't think he's out the whole entire thing. I think he needs his teammates to buy him time. I think if they can get out of this, or get to a game 7, or get out of this series, I think we will see Kawhi hit the floor again. I think it's there, and I think that's what's so frustrating. I think we're hearing about this news in the Clippers news because of the last loss. If that goes the other way and that ties the series, we're not even hearing this. But because that loss puts you one step closer to the brink of elimination, we're now seeing and hearing this. But I think this is the cuspice, right? This is going to be one of two things. It's going to enhance the greatness, or they got to start a new chapter. And I think that here we came into this thing half-ass semi-doubting of Paul George, the doubt is gone on Paul George. He's shown up.
Yeah.
So I'm not doubting him anymore.
Yeah, Figs, I'm gonna throw it to you and just add a couple more caveats and say the Clippers could be real excited because they got Reggie Jackson. They could literally sit here and say, okay, because he's a free agent. They can say, you know what, let's lock in Reggie Jackson. Let's focus on this dude right here, right now. If Kawhi wants to be with us, so be it. If he doesn't, we already know Paul George balled out. We can see we can make it without him. I mean, there's a lot of things you can think about this in this aspect. Fig, what's your thoughts?
I think Paul George is well. First, to what Talent said, if I'm up in the box seats like Kawhi, and I'm sipping wine, I'm sending down some wine to my players on the bench like Axel Foley did to Rosewood and Taggart in Beverly Hills Cop. And I ain't gonna put no banana in the tailpipe. But I think Kawhi Leonard is a strong two as far as NBA teams. I'm not sure if he's a number one still. When he was in Indiana, I believe that he was a number one player. But now, at this stage in his career, I think he's a strong 2 or 1A or say 1B.
You mean Paul George?
Paul George. I'm sorry, Paul George. That's what I'm talking about. And I think if Kawhi Leonard is playing, this series is quite possibly over. I think Kawhi, no pun intended, I think Kawhi Leonard is the player that would help them get over the hump and be able to beat the Suns. The fact that they don't have him is shining a bright light on the fact that it seems as though they need one more piece. Okay.
Amir, what's your thoughts?
I think that this is a make or break situation for them. We either, like you said, going to see them move on to greatness, or they're going to implode. I'm not on the side of them imploding just yet because Paul George has been playing out of his mind. But again, one of the things that we may or may not be giving enough credit to is how well the Suns appear to be doing what they're doing. Look, there's no disrespect to the Clippers. Paul George, like I said, is knocking down shots from everywhere imaginable. But so are the Suns. And not only that, their center, Aiden, or whatever his name is, he's doing all kind of pirouettes and ballet moves in the lane and whatnot. So you got to really look at this series and just say to yourself, it's going to boil down to not what the Stars do, because we know what the Stars are capable of. It's what everybody else is doing. And in Paul George's case, we're the rest of the troops. Yes, Jackson has showed up. He's looking relatively good, and one or two other players. But as a collective, they are not doing what they need to do in order to get over that hump. And that's really the situation for the Clippers, and that's the real reason why they're in the hole that they're in. So when is the rest of the troops going to show up?
Yeah, but let's not overlook the fact that the Clippers made it further than anybody expected them to make it. Let's also look at the fact being that they made it further than the Lakers in Atlanta, LA. Everybody needs to pay attention to that. If they're smart, they don't implode the team. You know what I mean? Because that's a successful year. I don't care how you look at it. That they made it to the Western Conference Finals.
You're right. You're absolutely right, Frank. But the one thing that the Lakers have going for them is several championships in their franchise. The Clippers don't have any. So the fact, and the Lakers just won last year. And, a lot of people think had it not been for the injury of Anthony Davis, that they'd probably be in the mix right now. And he's coming back next year.
I'm not doubting that, but all I'm saying is if you're the Clippers management, you have to look at it like saying, look, this is what we did this year. Not what happened, what other people did, what happened, if this person, you know what I mean? Because you could do that, what if it happened all day. But they have to look at it saying, we've got potential to literally knock out a couple more players moving forward. Because Reggie Jackson was an instrumental piece in what they're doing this year. And that Terrence Mann kid, those two people shine.
Yes.
They could build on that. You know what I mean? Don't implode the team. That's all I'm saying. So I'm saying.
No, I don't see that happening. I mean, let's. Here's the thing. Frank mentioned that, they showed what they could do without Kawhi, which I don't agree with, because when you statistically speaking, when you look at the statistics, Paul George showed up late this year. Yeah, he's doing his thing as you get to the end of the season, going through the playoffs. But to get where they are, you have to give them credit for that. The same way, even though late in the playoffs we got the injury from Chris Paul, along with Devin Booker, was that driving force of the Suns getting where they get. the top three things you got to give the Suns credit for to get there. You got to go with Chris Paul. You got to go with number 2, Devin Booker. And, of course, you got Jake from State Farm. Without him, you know.
Only
Who's
talent
going to
would
argue
say
with the numbers from State Farm? Jake from State Farm, bro.
only talent would say that. All right, but let me move on and talk about the next series, man, because the Hawks and Bucks series have been really interesting too. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to catch the game. I watched all 3 of those games, and here's my takeaway from this right now is that the Hawks shouldn't even be in any of the games. They should have lost all 3 games, right? But the Hawks are being better coached. Now, I don't care how you look at it. Even though they're not winning and leading the series, the Hawks are being better coached. But the Bucks have a better team at the end of the day. They have a better team, and it's showing. You know what I mean? It's showing. So now that Trae Young has been injured, I'm going to ask you this. Is it over now for the Hawks now that Trae Young got injured talent? You know, is that it? What you think? It's a wrap?
It wouldn't have been, but you know why I believe it is now? Because to me, in my opinion, Nate McMillan made the number 1 coaching 101 blunder last night. When Trae Young tweaks the foot, the ankle, you don't put him back in the game.
Right.
When he let him come back in the game in the end of the game like that, I think he sealed his fate. And I don't know if that's to pacify a star player or your number 1 player on your team, but any good coach knows in coaching 101, you playing for the big picture in the long game. And to let him come back in that game at that point, when actually, while he was out checking on the injury and seeing what it was, they were holding ground still. And he came back in, and he's a hobble player, and he's holding the ball too much. I blame that on Nate McMillan. I think they most likely will be done now. And you made a great point. They got the better coaching, they got the better team, which brings me to an old argument on this show.
This is the moment when I'm going to do this to you, talent.
This doesn't bring you to an old argument, Frank?
I'm not even mentioning that old argument.
What's better? What prevails?
I just said I'm not mentioning no argument. I'm not going there with you. I'm not going there with you. But I promise you, before this is said and done, we're going to see the end of this. We're going to see this before this is said and done. Tally gets on my damn nerves, Fig. What you think?
Hey, man, look. I think that Nate McMillan is doing a hell of a job because, like you said, I don't think that they really should be in this game at all. If Coach Bud would take advantage of what it is that he has at his disposal, I think this thing would have been a rout. I mean, my God, you got 2 7-footers and Giannis, Lopez. Trae Young can't guard nothing. And nobody has posted him up yet. Not one game did anybody post up Trae Young. Nobody went at him. Nobody made Trae Young play defense this entire series. And when you're in the playoffs, you go after the other team's weaknesses. Nobody has ever done that. I haven't seen it yet. I didn't see it in Philly. I didn't see it in New York. And I'm not seeing it in Milwaukee. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what it is. Maybe the NBA said, listen, you can't make Trae Young play defense. Maybe that's what the NBA came. They sent it down and they said, if you make Trae Young play defense, we're going to fine you millions and millions. I don't know what it is, but this kid doesn't play any defense. They let him go right all the time. They don't make him go left. They may let him go right all the time. I'm just like, who is coaching?
And you know what? He makes some great points, because if it was me, I'd isolate Trae and be bringing his ass down low all day, because you got
every time.
That's what I would do.
Right.
I would tell him, I'm not talking to you. You be picking on me. I couldn't
tell
wait.
him with the third grade shit.
Yeah,
I'm not talking to you.
Yo, but I gotta get tagged. Last week he got me, and this week he started on Monday. He got me too. Man, that's whew. Towels on the
Listen,
road.
sports karma is sports karma, brother. You say what you say, you stand by what you say, and you let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
We have another instance. We just won a Super Bowl, right? Going against the argument, and now here we are in the NBA, and we're in the playoffs, the conference finals, mind you, and we're seeing it. And Fig has a great point. The coach is not a judge. I tell you, Fig, I said it last week. I think we're looking at Jordan rules all over again. And what happened was teams got to a point where the coaching got lazy. The organization said, screw trying to figure out how to stop this guy. Let him get his. Let's guard everybody else. Problem with that is all it takes is one pick to disrupt that mentality. You can say, let them guard everybody else and let him get his. All he got to do is go around one pick. Now you're wasting two guys on the pick. And here we go. It's the Trae Young show again. He comes around the pick with the ball or giving the ball. Don't matter if he got it or somebody give it. You're losing a man. It's a 5-on-4. And usually 9 times out of 10, Trae Young looks miraculous.
Let me just ask Amir his thoughts. Before I ask him his thoughts, pissed off at you because I'm pissed off with you. So pissed off at these two S's. Amir, what you think, bro?
You know what? I think, we're looking at, like you said, coaching, and we're looking at players also making adjustments. One of the interesting things about this series, and we said it, or I mentioned it early on in the series, and even early on in the playoffs. We're also watching finally Giannis do what he's supposed to do. Sir, you're more stronger, you're more athletic, you have way more moves than any of those other players on the entire Atlanta Hawks team. No disrespect to the entire Atlanta Hawks team. But, sir, get down in the low post, finger roll, drop stuff in, dunk on dudes, do what you're supposed to do. And he's been doing that. That's clearly the difference in this series at this particular point, because as much as we love Capella, he cannot guard that man down there. And then to Talent's point and to Fig's point, you got another 7-footer in Brook Lopez who has decided he wants to keep running to corners. Brook, you are 7 feet tall, sir. If you don't go down there and body Capella and make that dude fall like a house of cards, like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
It's insane, man. I don't understand it. Amir, I don't understand it. I don't understand this brand of basketball. They call it positionless. They call it positionless basketball when you talk about tall players, but no little players play center.
All right, let me stop there. I want to talk about the next topic while we still got time and everything else. Now, I'm going to throw it to you, Talent, and say this, man. Chauncey Billups got hired as a head coach, and as soon as he got hired as head coach, here's what happened. As soon as he got hired as head coach, 4 or 5 articles popped up about people having their displeasure with Chauncey Billups being hired as head coach, because guess what? They started bringing up the rape allegations and stuff he had years ago. And like my man said this morning, Kendrick Perkins, he said nobody cared about it when he was assistant coach. Nobody cared about any of this stuff when he was climbing up. But now as soon as he gets hired last night, 5 articles pop up about, oh, don't forget, way back in 2002, 2001, he got rape allegations and everything on. Now, I don't know about you all, but I got really upset when I heard about that, because I was like, I agree with him. Nobody cares. But now all of a sudden, since he's hired as head coach, now all of a sudden people care about these rape allegations that happened years ago that was settled out of court. I don't know, man. You got 60 seconds, Talent. Tell me what your thoughts.
It's America, bro. This is the climate we live in now. It's from between the hashtag Me Too's and the different protests and movement and climate of the country. The bottom line is, if you're one of those guys that fit in under that bracket, you're not supposed to get any progressional things happen to you. You're not supposed to get any progress moving forward. You're supposed to stay stagnant. And every time we see you apply for something or look like you're about to get something, we're going to remind the world of why not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's at the end of the day, Fig, I'm gonna throw it to you. At the end of the day, that's exactly what I see it happening. I don't even think I don't know if it's a color issue or not. I just hate seeing this happening to a black head coach all the time when they're trying to progress. No, let me stop lying. It's definitely a black issue. There's no doubt about it. It's a black issue. So let's just call it what it is. It's a black issue. Black head coach who's going to be good. He's going to be good. What's your thoughts?
The thing is, you're absolutely right. It's a black issue, because here's the proof in the pudding. It doesn't happen to white guys.
Yeah.
It just don't. This is not what they do. Listen, it's almost, and the worst part about it is that he was not convicted of anything. if you're accused as a black man in America, that stigmatism follows you through perpetuity, like forever, ever. Like when he said forever, ever, yeah, forever, ever.
P-E. So, man, you got 60 seconds. What you think, bro?
Man, again, stuff like that just upsets you because in the grand scheme of things, who cares first and foremost? And then secondly, what does that have to do with his coaching acumen or lack thereof? The man was hired to be a coach. He's not hired to do anything having to do with women or anything like that. He's hired to coach a men's professional basketball team. And if one has to do with the other, then why doesn't, to your point, this come up when it goes to other coaches being hired? Because we have other coaches who have all kind of other situations that just fall by the wayside. Nobody says anything.
Listen, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If Marv Albert can get a job, anybody can get a job in the NBA. I don't care what nobody said. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead. The floor is yours. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, but that proves the point exactly what you just said. And that's all I'm saying. Like, let this man coach. And if we're going to judge him on anything, let it be on his coaching ability or lack thereof. End of story.
Yeah, that's what I agree.
That's a bad comparison. Marv Albert, come on, man.
No, it's a great comparison because Marv Albert got caught.
He bit her. They like that.
All right, I'm not. But you know what? He's commentating on all the NBA games. You know,
Facts.
I don't know, but tell everybody out there about the 30th anniversary. I want to be able to get that in there, squeeze that in there, man, before you roll up out of here.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Talent celebrating 30 years of stand-up comedy at the end of July 30th weekend. It's the very last weekend of the month of July. We will be in Atlantic City for 3 days celebrating this glorious, for me, monumental moment. We got everybody coming from the Box Seats crew will be in the building, Humor Mills in the building, Roxanne Shante, Mr. Cheeks, Ed Lover, AJ Johnson, John Henton, Figs in the building, Rodney Perry's in the building, two Ray Gordon's in the building, Ski Carter, and many more comedians. Some of my ladies even coming through. Alicia Cole is going to be in the building, Onika McLean, and many, many more. You're looking at more than 3 banging ass shows. You can get room packages. That's going to be cut off at the end of this week, people. Get them before Friday, and then everything else is tickets. Show tickets. So hit me at talent@itsjustcomedy.com. That's the email to lock yourself in. Talent@itsjustcomedy.com. I hope to see y'all. Atlantic City gonna be crazy. July 30th, 31st, and the 1st.
It sounds like more people still coming, man. It sounds like you're getting more celebrities. Yeah. This is dope.
I ain't done yet. I ain't done.
Okay, this is dope. This is dope. Fig, everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
Follow me wherever, man. Listen, right there, Comedian Fig. Box Seats, Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. I'm doing stuff. All right, Amir, tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
A-Rock Sealy down there at the bottom. AROCKSEALY on Instagram, and Amir Sealy on everything else. And usually hanging out with these 3 brilliant guys, Frank Holder, Talent, and Fig, and Rodney Perry sometimes when they allow me to.
Bro, thank you for sitting in for Rodney Perry today, bro. We really greatly appreciate that. That's Amir Sealy. That's Fig. Y'all, that's Talent. The name of the show is called Box Seats. It's on Monday through Friday, 1 to 2. This week, we're going to see if we can get somebody to do it. You know what? We probably won't. We probably won't. We probably won't get a guest. But if we do, I can't hear you, Talent. Can't hear you.
Don't say that. I'm working on something, Frank.
Oh, okay. All right. So, all right. If we do, we do. You know what I mean? Everybody keep canceling on me. But, hey, that's what it is. This is the Box Seats. The name of the channel is called The Humor Mill. We appreciate y'all for watching. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We got to follow up on Chauncey Billups. We got to follow up on this Jason Kidd stuff that they're talking about. We got a lot of conversation to follow up. And then there's some news. Demaryius Thomas retired. We got to talk about that in the NFL. And, of course, more people getting caught playing baseball when they shouldn't be doing certain things. Man, it's just crazy topics, man. We're going to talk about all that tomorrow. We'll see y'all tomorrow, y'all. Peace.
Peace.